I'm feeling super self-conscious right now, so I might just wrap a blanket around myself and I'll sit here and talk, but you guys won't actually like see me. So that's kind of the direction we're heading. What a time to be alive. So tonight I'm gonna sit down and answer all of the questions that you guys want answers to. Let me grab my phone and we will get started with the question. I just spit. So I guess we'll start off with the most frequently asked question. Riley is not my daughter. We are not related. She's not my little sister. She's my student. There's no relation there whatsoever. We've just all gotten super close because she's been writing for a couple of years, and you know, she has a great family. I love them to death. So yeah, we're just really close, but we are not related. I don't have any kids, so like none of these kids on my channel are mine. They did not come out of me. I do not claim them. But, you know, I love them all, but they're not mine. I don't have any kids. So now that we got that cleared up, let's move on. I did not buy Flash for Riley and Maddie. Their mom bought them the pony, but I did have a hand in like what pony they got. I rejected quite a few ponies before their mom sent me Flash's ad, and I told her, I was like, if you can make it happen, I would do it, because he seems perfect for what we were wanting. He was actually bought sight unseen, but he's been the most perfect pony. He's like super for those kids. This question is really tough. I would have to say it would probably be Slew, just because like I've had him for, I want to say around 14 years now, and you know, I owe him like so much. Like he's so much of the reason that, you know, I am where I am today. And I definitely think if I could only have one ride ever, which I hope never happens, because oh my god, I couldn't even imagine. But yeah, if I could only have one ride ever again, I would want it to be on Slew. I do live in the barn. There's an apartment in it, which is where I'm at right now, so this is where I live. Proudest moment as a trainer? I would say, you know, anytime that something comes together for someone, like, for example, say they're just starting out and trying to learn how to post. I feel really proud whenever they finally like figure out how to post, or like when they, you know, start jumping for the first time. Like anytime they hit like big milestones in their career, that's when I get the most proud. So like I was really proud when Riley moved up to 2 foot at the last show, and especially since it went really well. Those are the moments that make this like enjoyable for me. I had a hair on my phone. All my horses get turned out at least for some part of the day. Most of them live out 24/7. I just feel like it's way more beneficial for the horse to be outside. They're way happier outside. And you know, I try and keep them out of their stalls as much as possible, because you know, I think they deserve to be a horse. I have rode Western. Actually, when I first started out riding, well, I mean, okay, so a lot of this, I'm planning on filming a riding story at some point, hopefully within the next few months. So I'm gonna try not to go into too much detail, because this will all be covered in my like riding story. So my first pony was like a devil, and like she was seriously so bad. I don't know why I still like horses. It was the worst first horse experience that could have probably happened. Only other worst case scenario would have been that I died, which I mean, I'm still here, so that didn't happen. So I ended up with like really laid back Western pleasure horse. He was one of the foundation bred quarter horses, like just a real big bone dude, just like super chill. And so I ended up with this horse because, you know, at that point I just needed something safe. Like, it didn't even matter if it could jump or not, like it just needed to be safe, because my parents didn't want to put me on another pony that wanted to kill me. So so I ended up with this horse, and you know, I was really young and I didn't have a trainer. I was a little kid. I didn't like understand that you know, some horses, they're just not built to jump. So this horse, with my current knowledge, if he was in my barn, I'd be like, this thing ain't jumping. You know, but yeah, like I tried to jump him, and after, you know, so many stops, you're like, okay, this is not working. And so I ended up riding him Western. I did team sorting, and I just, you know, played around and was a kid. That horse was a saint. He was a saint. He put up with some stuff. And then I rode Western again in college. I rode on the IHSA team when I was in college. And so I started off on the hunt team, and then I decided that I also wanted to ride on the stock team, just because I thought it would be like kind of fun and get some experience from you know, on different horses, and just kind of do something different. This question, ooh, this question is gonna get me fired up. So I'm just warning you. This is like advice that can be taken for any working student position ever, not just for me. So I'm gonna tell you what I think are like some of the most important qualities that a person should have if they want to have a successful working student position. The biggest one being, you need to have like an amazing work ethic and be willing to work hard. And that doesn't mean that you should be worked to death. Like, you should not be overworked. You should be treated fairly. I'm always super fair with my working students. Like, they do literally nothing compared to, you know, other working student positions. My biggest thing is that the time that you are in the barn, you need to be working your butt off. Because I move pretty quick in the barn, and so if you're not matching my pace, because I have to be out here all day and do this, and you know, they're normally out here for, you know, maybe 5 hours a day, and it's not even every single day. So if you can't match my pace in those 5 hours, like, that doesn't cut it. Don't be a freaking sloth. There's no time to be a sloth in a barn. Not when there's a ton of horses and, you know, there's a lot to get through in the day. Do everything right, but don't be slow about it. Like, we can't be sloths. Hustle, 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 hustle. Sorry, Bexy. The only other thing that I can think of right now is, you know, if you see something that needs done, do it. Like, don't wait around for somebody to tell you to do it. Like, just do it. If you see cobwebs, get them down. If the hallway's dirty, sweep it. If a horse needs groomed, groom them. Like, just do it, you know? It makes me so happy when I see somebody just like take the initiative and just get something done on their own, and I don't have to say anything. Like, that right there makes me happy, and it makes any other trainer happy. So be that person. I would say on average I ride probably like 5 or 6 days a week, anywhere from 2 to 8 horses. Like right now I would say 2 to 8 horses a day. When I have a working student, I typically ride way more, as long as the working student is actually productive. So I guess what I do is, if I really don't feel like riding, I don't force myself. And you know, lessons, I have to be in like a really bad mindset to cancel a lesson. I try and get out to the barn a little bit before the lesson, because, you know, as soon as I get out to the barn, like, I normally feel a little bit better. It's a little different for me because I'm the one that feeds the horses, so like even days when I really don't feel like going out to the barn, I have to because the horses need to eat. So, you know, I always have like a definite reason to be out in the barn. If you're just like, you're just boarding your horse somewhere and you're not in charge of any of the care, I would suggest maybe just going out there and like grooming your horse or something, or, you know, just clean your tack and just get out to the barn, because on the days when I feel really overwhelmed and just like I'm not feeling it, like I always feel immensely better being out in the barn. So it's just, you know, just get yourself there. Bribe yourself with some ice cream or something if you have to, but, you know, just get yourself out there, and it normally, at least with me, helps with my mindset a whole lot, just being around the horses. Another thing that might help too is to think about your long-term goals and know that, you know, whatever you do today will help you achieve your goals. So that might be something to motivate you as well. I didn't realize how long it's been, but I've been riding for like 17 years now. And that is so freaking long. I feel like I'm ancient. My best friend in 3rd grade had a horse, and so I used to always go over to her house, and she kind of taught me like the very basics of riding. Like, I learned how to stay on the horse, and I think she started to teach me how to post, and then like at that point I was like begging my parents if I could have a horse, and they're like, we're not buying you a horse because you don't know anything about them, and like you're probably not even gonna take care of it. But we did eventually find somewhere for me to start taking lessons, and it grew into this. My parents didn't know anything about horses like when we first got into it, but it was something that we all kind of learned together, and for a while my whole family was riding. My dad rode, my brother rode, my mom rode. But my dad and my brother are like not really into the horses anymore. My mom still like helps me with the horses quite a bit. So yeah, that's that. Out of the horses that I show right now, Kane is definitely my favorite because he reminds me a lot of Slew. He's just very easy to get to the ring. 10-minute warm up, get him over a couple fences, and he's good. And he's always very good in the ring. He's gotten very easy. There was some really bad moments, like when he was first starting out. I was like, oh my lord. But he's definitely like grown up quite a bit, and yeah, he's super fun to show. I used to have a warm blood when I was like 16 and I was wanting to do the Big X. Unfortunately, we had to put him down within like a year of owning him. That was like the only warm blood that I've ever owned, and I personally don't have anything against them, but I'm also like not very rich, so warm bloods are not really in my budget. Besides that, even if money wasn't an issue, I would probably continue buying thoroughbreds. Like, I might have a few warm bloods in the barn, but I would definitely always have thoroughbreds in my barn because I just love them, and I love getting them off the track and just kind of restarting them my way. Thoroughbreds are really awesome. They're so underrated, and their stereotype is like ridiculous and stupid, because I think all of my thoroughbreds, well, I mean, maybe excluding Bacardi, but they're all like, you know, super sane, and like I can put kids on them. You gotta give them a chance. They're a completely different ride than warm bloods, but you know, they're cool. They're cool horses, and they're very athletic and very smart. If you're having financial trouble, I would recommend looking for like a working student position. I personally always try and make sure you get like a ride each time you're out in the barn and like working. It would be a good way to get riding time and also like learn a lot about management and whatnot without having to pay any money. Another thing that you could look into is maybe leasing a horse. That way you can kind of get the feel of having your own horse, but it's way less risk and way less money that you're putting into into it. The other thing would be to just look for a barn that has lesson horses that you can use. I know everyone, like, the goal is always to have your own horse, but honestly, like, lesson horses can have a lot to teach you. Don't feel bad or anything. Like, you know, horses are expensive. You can still learn a lot from the lesson horses, so yeah, that's what I would recommend. I will make merch at some point. I don't think that like now is probably the best time to do it because the whole world basically shut down. So yeah, maybe once this whole situation ends and I find somebody that could like make some designs or something for me, I would totally make merch. If she continues working hard, there's absolutely no reason that she couldn't do pony finals on Flash. Flash is, in my opinion, a quality enough pony to go to pony finals. He has a great jump. Since Flash is a large, it might not be until like a few more years because they think the large greens are 2.9. So it's gonna probably be a little bit longer before Riley is comfortable jumping that high, and Flash too. But yeah, like eventually I don't think there's any reason that she couldn't. Corona! Did you hear that? That was my back, not a fart, by the way. As of right now, my barn is closed. I don't have any lessons going on, no boarders. I'm doing what I can to make it easier on the boarders because like it's a hard thing to be like, oh, well, you're like paying to have your horse, but you can't come see him. But like thankfully they were all very understanding. I've offered to keep their horses and work free of charge during this time. I'm trying to send them as many pictures and like videos as often as I can. Like I'm doing whatever I can to make this easier on everyone. I've been like disinfecting all of the like commonly touched areas like sinks and doorknobs and the brooms. I would just hate if something were to happen to someone and it was because like I didn't close the barn down or something. You know, I don't want to be responsible for anyone to like get sick or anything. If I were to get sick, then I don't know who would take care of the horses because I definitely would not let my parents come down into the barn if I knew like the virus was still like floating around in the air. I would be like, everyone is out, and I would have to find a way to take care of them on my own. And you know, hopefully like if I were to get it, my symptoms wouldn't be bad, but there's no guarantee that they wouldn't be like bad enough to where I needed to be hospitalized. So you know, that was a big factor in it too. I like really need to protect myself during this time because I cannot get sick. For the sake of the horses, I cannot get sick. Also, my dad is at a higher risk and I definitely do not want him to get it. I did what I felt was best. Just remember that none of us have ever dealt with anything like this before. So your barn owners and your trainers, like we're all kind of doing the best that we can, trying to figure out the best way to navigate through this whole situation and keep everyone safe and keep the horses safe. Yeah, I feel unconfident a lot, like especially being, you know, still pretty young. Like, that's funny that I say that, but like in the grand scheme of things, like I'm still pretty young. I just like kind of freak out because I'm also getting older and like that's scary. I feel like I like am not capable sometimes, but you just have to like look back on all the horses that you produced and know that all the improvement that, you know, these riders are making is because of you. Like you taught them that stuff. You set them up for that like success. I mean, if your riders are making improvements and, you know, they're happy, they're having fun and they're learning, then that's really all you can do as a coach. With my students, if they're like kind of nervous or unsure about something, you know, let's say for example they just had a fall and it kind of shook them up a little bit, I'll just put them back on the lunge line and we may just do like a walk trot lesson or something, and you know, we may do it for a couple lessons until they feel comfortable being off the lunge line, and then we'll just slowly progress back to where we were. There's no shame in going back a few steps and just kind of getting back to basics and finding finding your confidence again. Like sometimes that's what you gotta do. You cannot constantly go like on this upward slope of like improvement. Like you definitely sometimes have to go backwards a little bit in order to build yourself back up to where you were. I lose my confidence too. You know, everyone does at one point or another. If they're like nervous to try something new, it just reminds them that if I didn't think you could do it, I wouldn't let you do it, because I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want my horses to get hurt. We kind of have a little talk like, you gotta trust me, you gotta trust yourself, and you gotta trust the horse. Those are like my go-to things if somebody is struggling a little bit with confidence. I don't know if I should be like concerned, but the lid wasn't like sealed onto this at all, and like I haven't opened it yet. Like I literally just opened it, like it wasn't sealed, but I'm gonna eat it anyways. I know at first I was like, yeah, I'm for sure gonna sell him, like he's definitely a project and he's definitely gonna be sold, and like I'm absolutely gonna sell this one this time. But the thing is that I really love him, and he's honestly like the best little pony. Like I adore him, I really do. So I don't think he's gonna be going anywhere. So, you know, shocker, Stephanie keeps another horse that she swears she's gonna sell. He's currently doing walk trot under saddle. You know, get him cantering, get him jumping, and then eventually, you know, he may be like a lesson pony or, you know, something, and I'd like to get him to some shows, and you know, we'll see. But I mean, right now he still has a lot to learn, so like that's as much of a plan as I have for him, like at this stage in the game. Maddie and Riley are not twins. Maddie is, I think, 2 years older. She's 1 or 2 years older. They are sisters, but they're not twins. I don't know why everyone asks me this question. I get it asked so often. I do not have a boyfriend. I'm not married. Again, no kids. Riley's not my kid. Boys are like just not worth it. They seem to just wreak havoc on my life. So like I'm just, you know, chilling, focusing on myself, focusing on my business, on YouTube. I don't know, maybe if one that doesn't suck completely comes along, maybe I'll have a boyfriend, but like they all suck, so no boyfriend for me. The last time I fell off was in August, I believe. I was at a horse show and I didn't even get into the show ring. It was Friday and we had just got there. I was schooling course and I was literally almost done with my ride, and I don't know what got into him, because he was so perfect up until this point. He had a little freak out on the backside of a jump and I fell really, really hard. I was just like laying in the ring and I couldn't move, and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, like I'm not kidding. It was so horrible, but I was in so much pain. I had to be looked over by the medic on site, and for whatever reason he cleared me to show, and like I don't think that was the best decision, but I was being kind of a brat. So I was at the time complaining about my back and like my ribs. He was worried that I like fractured a rib or something. So at the time, like we were looking at my my ribs and my back, and he didn't feel anything that was broken. He needed me to stand up to be able to like, you know, do what he needed to do. And I'm like straight up like about ready to pass out. Like I'm like, dude, I need to sit down, like I can't see. And like it was so horrible. Looking back on it, like I don't think that I should have been cleared to ride. I ended up having to make the judgment call for myself, because like I was like, there's no way, I can barely move my body. And then I had this like freaking hematoma on my leg that was like growing rapidly. That was a really long story for a very simple question that had a very simple answer. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little story time. My favorite part about owning the barn and horses is being in control. We have boarded at a barn before, and I don't think that the horses were getting fed properly. Slew was extremely underweight, and like, you know, there was only so much we could do about that. But yeah, like definitely the best part is being in control, and I can make sure the horses are getting like the proper care and the proper nutrition, and like I know what they're getting because I'm the one doing it. Maddie does not still ride. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's not really my place to talk about, and plus she's like a little kid. I don't want to be like talking about her. But you know, me and Maddie are cool. Like you just saw her in the last vlog. She still likes being around horses. She's just not riding right now. So that's, you know, and that's fine. Like not everyone is meant to be a rider. Like I'm glad she still enjoys being around the horses. Riley is not the only one that takes lessons. She is the only kid that's riding out here right now. Well, actually nobody is riding out here right now because the barn is closed. But when it opens back up, no, she's not the only one riding. There are several adults that ride out here. You just don't see them in the vlogs. I'd like to find a couple more kids. Like ideally I could just clone Riley and like have a bunch of Rileys, and then life would be great. But you know, I would like to find a couple more kids that are really like passionate about horses and like have the same drive that Riley has, but that's a hard thing to find. I feel like a freaking freak. That was the last question. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys learned something that you maybe didn't know about me. Don't be too mean to me. I'm not used to like sitting in front of a camera this long. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are all doing okay in quarantine. Stay home, don't get the corona, wash your hands. I'll see everyone in the next vlog. Okay, bye.